Hey everybody, this is Perch. I did the video with Joe about AI art, and we talked. We kind of joked around a little bit. One piece I didn't really get in, but I think it was there. It was kind of threaded underneath, but it goes without saying. And I think this is the way you should look at technology, as you should look at almost all technology. Is this? Um, it's early. This is very early stage. We don't yet know where it's going to go, and in an early adopter stage of some of this, some of these options, these technologies, some of these ideas, there's a lot of potential, and we have to wait to see how they run out. This is not the future of all art. This is not the death of all art. It's too early to make that call either way. There's still a lot of finding out that's going to happen. I'm fascinated right now. People are really the detractors are really focused on the racist and sexist aspects of it. We haven't gotten into the environmental impact. I'm sure that's coming at some point, but that generally how you should look at this is it's early. It has potential. We're going to see how it all works out. That's the best we can do. But I got a note from a reasonably prominent creator, and it said this: "Hey, Perch, I usually listen to your show. I usually like what you have to say. It's a lot of usuallys, but you really got it wrong on this one. The problem with AI art is it directly hurts artists. It takes money out of their pocket. You, as a champion for artists, should be better than that." I should be better than that? I think it should understand. Oh, well, fuck it. You should be better than that. Artists need money, as you yourself has so often described. AI art takes money out of their pockets. It gives companies the ability to not pay the artists and get the same work for free. That should scare a lot of people who love comics and want to see creators be successful. Really disappointed in your take. Okay. I'm doubling down. I'm gonna defend that take because I don't agree, and the reason I don't agree is twofold. One, and I'll give you this example: tracing is generally frowned upon by the publishers and the customers. You know, lots of people make fun of Greg Land for tracing kind of porno faces on some of his characters, but he's not tracing everything, and he's clearly a good artist, regardless of some of the expressions that come in. You know, your style may or may not match you, and that's fine. But he's clearly an artist and everything else. But creators who have purely traced, who have absolutely cheated and ripped off other pages, have been punished. The publishers do not keep paying them. It's frowned upon. So I have a hard time believing that companies who are taking that stance are going to suddenly turn around and go, screw it, we can absolutely just rip off people without paying them due to this AI stuff. We're going all in. It's very unlikely they do that. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that like Bad Idea or AWA or somebody's going to do an all AI generated art. I mean, why not? So one of them's going to give it a shot. But nobody on the mainstream is going to do that because they know it's counter to the culture that they're trying to create, to the business they have. They're not going to do it. The other reason is the technology isn't there yet. It's not there. It's not even close to there yet. There's still a lot of weirdness. You could do AI assisted art, which is what Joe and I wound up talking a lot about. But it's just not at the place where you could do it. Now maybe it gets there someday, but then you're still going to have to get around the is this art stolen from other people's past art? I mean, the companies are not going to wade into that. They will not. And before you say, "Oh, you naive fool, Disney steals from people all the time," not this way. No, they don't. They definitely underpay. They definitely have paid for work and then not paid the full value and all the rest. They've definitely done that, but this would be a different game, and it's one they haven't played before. So it's unlikely they will. But here's my problem. Here's the other part of this, and I did mention this very briefly in the video with Joe, but this has bothered me more and more since we recorded that, because I've seen more and more creators do this take. And I've seen the usual suspects, and one of those, and I hate to beat up on her, but I'll give you an example. This is hypocritical. Is Heather Antos is making a bunch of very kind of negative statements about AI art, but Heather Antos at the same time has liked and defended, and in some cases supported herself, and she has. The tweets are there. Some have been deleted because you can see the threads and you see the tweet itself has been deleted, but she has in the past regularly said that piracy, online piracy, isn't that big a deal, and that people should buy the comic, but piracy also gives people access, and you can prove via Napster that piracy actually help the businesses? And there's all these arguments that many of which have been debunked, by the way. I always like it when I say that in videos. I like a lot of the, music piracy helped the music industry arguments, many of which have actually been very much debunked. And people are like, oh yeah, where? And I provide links. And then they're like, mysteriously, they disappear. They just never come out. Like, oh, that link doesn't account for blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, stop. It is still true that there's not the overwhelming evidence that you think. But regardless of all that, I think it is inconsistent, extremely inconsistent, to basically claim that AI art is evil, rotten, the worst thing in the history of all things, and then turn around and say, yeah, but piracy's fine. I don't see how you can make the case. I don't see how you can make the case to argue that piracy is totally fine and doesn't take money out of artists' pocket, while simultaneously, you know what I mean? It's an inconsistency. I don't get it, and I think that I just full stop. I think that you're wrong, and that's what bothers me about a lot of these arguments. Is you need to sign up to both. So is it? Is it that we need to protect artists' rights? And I think if that's your consistent take, I can get behind that. I can at least say you're being consistent, and there's value in that. So fine. But how is it that a company doing AI art taking money out of artists' pockets, how is that dramatically different? I'm honestly asking. Than a company than basically piracy going on and people basically downloading the comics for free, which takes royalties and things out of the creators' pockets. I had this argument briefly with somebody on social media, and the argument came back. It's like, well, what do you think the companies are actually paying out the royalties properly, Perch? I'm like, I mean, that's a whole, maybe not, but that's a whole different argument. Like you can't just shuffle the argument to whatever you feel like at the time. That's ridiculous. If companies sign a contract promising royalties and they don't pay the royalties, you got yourself a legal issue there. This is not an issue of well, because the companies don't pay royalties, then that makes piracy okay, so everybody should go ahead and do that. And P.S. What are you even doing at this point? You're making a word salad argument to help yourself feel better, presumably about pirating books, while simultaneously, grabbing your pitchfork and wanting to attack AI art. Because why? You're not smart enough to use the tools? That quite frankly feels like what it is, to be blunt. A lot of the people complaining are people that I'm like, you need your mom's help to log into Facebook. I don't think you're any person to be commenting on technology, but that's just me. I don't know. So all this said, I'm throwing it out to you, to the comment section. So you tell me how, if your argument is, and I'm very specifically sticking with just this one argument, if your argument is AI art takes money out of creators' pockets, out of artists' pockets, how is piracy okay? That's my argument. If you don't feel piracy is okay and you're against AI art, you don't need to respond. You are consistent. I'm no problem. Not talking to you. But if you're one of these people, and there's several of them, several creators who have loudly argued in favor of piracy, usually for the reason of, class. I've seen people say, the people who are against piracy are racist because, of course, people who are not white can't afford comics. I mean, everybody knows that. That was sarcasm. But, I've seen a lot of those arguments, and they're absurd. So please explain to me the consistency of that. Of, comic piracy is cool. AI art is the end of the world, and we're causing artists to starve. I would love to hear it and try and understand. Educate me. Anyway, let me know what you think about all these topics and all this. And I don't know. Am I off base here? Is this not as hypocritical as it sounds? Feels really fucking hypocritical to me. Anyway, thanks for listening.